Well, here we're at our first good specific location for fox and coyote trapping. I'd like to talk a little bit about the location. We are on our target area, Red Lake behind me. There's a long fence row here that comes down into the lake. It crosses down behind us and actually runs into that interstate highway we've seen up in the airplane. Back over here, we've got that big feed lot, a lot of smell attraction coming in there. There's a crop edge here winding around and cuts into the lake. There's a crop edge here that follows the fence line down. A lot of edges coming into this location near the target area, making this the best location to set up for our fox or coyote. Also, you'll notice that this is real rough. It's just kind of disked up ground. It's real rough. You might come up here during trapping season and say, oh, this is too rough to make a set in. Fox aren't going to work into this area. Coyotes aren't going to work this. Trick you can use, and I've already been up here and done it, so I've taken my boot and I've actually taken and made a trench along here, made a smooth spot all the way through this corner, just skiffing my feet along the ground. Made a little trail all the way through that rough area. You get a trail through here, then we can put our sets along that trail, and any fox that's working down this edge, even if he's in the high grass, when he smells that lure and he comes working into our sets, he'll come up and run down this trail, and of course we'll have two sets guarding it. I like to stay out away from my cover at least 3 or 4 feet so that fox or coyote can get a walk around that set. He can get a good sight attraction on it. He can see it from all sides before he works it if he wants to. Also, I pulled up a rock when I was up here earlier. I've tossed it out here. It's a pretty good sized rock here. It's going to be my visual attraction. It's going to be visual attraction for the sets. You'll see when we make the sets that my sets don't have a lot of sight attraction at them. I like a natural, well-bedded set. I want it all blended with the surrounding ground as best as possible. But if I can get my sight attraction out here, that fox may come in, check this out, and then smell my set. And that's the key, because I want him to find my set with his nose first. I've found that if a fox or coyote sees a set, he comes in suspicious and cautious. Where if he smells it with his nose first, he'll work that set with less suspicion and more confidence. And that's the key. You want them to work with more confidence to your set. That way they'll work right through and you'll catch them. I'm going to walk back over here, get my equipment, and we're going to put 2 sets in right along this trench. The direction the camera's facing now, out over the marsh, is the prevailing wind direction. Most of the time in this area, the wind blows from that direction. That means any lure or bait we use here is going to blow farther down this way. It's going to blow out towards, and I'm going to expect any of the animals coming through here to work from that direction. Our storm front wind direction comes most generally out of the northwest or backwards. That's going to blow any of this smell back into this area behind us. So we need to be working backwards and forward across the set, and you'll notice after I make it, it's not going to make a bit of difference which way the fox smells the set. He's going to work it from one way anyways. I'm going to use a 175 trap here because we are in fox area. I'm going to show the set that I use the most. I think it's the premier set for fox and coyote trapping. Again, we selected kind of a rough place. This is just the way the field is. But since we've broken it down in such a landmass area, such a supreme habitat area, the fox are here. There's no question about that. We know that no matter what rough conditions we have to work in, we've still got the fox around. That's the most important part. We have to have the fox in the territory to trap them, or it doesn't matter what equipment or sets we use. We'll never catch a fox if they aren't around. I've kind of selected my spot here. There's a little tuft of grass behind, maybe to help detour any fox from working the set from the back. My tractor's going to be in here. But nevertheless, we're working off of this trench. I'm working off of this walk-through principle. You're going to hear a lot about in the tape, especially in the next 10 minutes or so. I want them fox to walk through my set. I don't care if they like the lure or love it or hate it. If they just walk through the set, I got them. That's the key. That's the key to help you catch coyotes, fox, coon, cats, all in the same type of set like we're going to show right now. First thing to have is your trap set. Then I'd set my sifter up here in this position so I could put dirt in it. And I'm going to take and dig my trap bed. I'm going to use my trowel, and I'm going to dig it about the shape of a Nerf football. The points be here, round, and back to a point. Just throw that dirt up in here. One of the key things I found, and the first point to remember in set construction, is your best sets, your most well-bedded sets, the trap bed itself has as straight sides as possible and a flat bottom. So you want straight sides and a flat bottom on your trap beds if you can. This dirt's kind of moist, so it's pretty easy to work with. We had a pretty good rain last night. Another thing you need to remember is I don't want this trap bed too big. I don't want to get in here and hoe out a bunch of ground. I want it just the size for the trap. And if it's a little small, I'm just going to widen up just what I need to make it just the right size. This ground has a certain firmness to it. Once we start messing with it and taking dirt out in this quantity, we'll never get that firmness back. Them fox are barefoot their whole lives. He's coming down through here. He knows what the ground feels like. He hits a real soft spot. He may stop and say, I wonder what's buried there. Or, there's a problem here. He may scratch around, uncover your trap for no apparent reason except for that soft dirt. You know, this dirt also has a smell to it. It smells dug up now. It's different than this. This is more of a moister smell to that fox. A fox can smell 50 times better than we can, so he'll detect that. He'll pick that up. We want to try to keep as much attention off of this area where the trap goes as possible and put maximum appeal beyond the trap on the attractor. But back to the trap bed, straight sides and a flat bottom work best. We want to take our trap, we want to lay it in here in this position. We want the trap dog facing towards the attractor at 12 o'clock. Okay, what I usually do is I'll put my stake at 6 o'clock. You'll find that the best trappers always take disadvantages and turn them into advantages. If you look at your trap and the way it's made, everything has a pretty firm place to rest in the dirt except the loose jaw. If you set that trap down on a firm surface and press on the loose jaw, it's always wobbly, it's always tippy. If you remember that when you're bedding your trap, you'll always notice that if you don't support the loose jaw, it's harder to bed your trap. We need to support that, and what I do is I put the trap stake at 6 o'clock or down by the loose jaw area, and that way I'm going to use the trap stake head to rest the loose jaw on. I'm taking the disadvantage and turning it into an advantage. In fact, the loose jaw is the worst part of the bed. When that jaw is rested on the stake head, it's the strongest part of the bed. Here's my stake. Put it in that position. I know that's going in. Nice and tight. There's no way a fox or coyote's going to pull that out. Now I'm going to take my trowel and kind of work around that just a little bit, kind of loosen it up. So I want swivel action. Remember how that washer wants to turn. It gives me a little better swivel action around that top of that stake head. Now I'm going to turn my trap around. I want the swivel pointing away from me, or this way towards me if I'm sitting here. And I'm going to swing that trap around and in position. Okay, I don't want the trap to be too deep, so I notice my trap bed may need a little dirt under it. I can go right here. Remember, try to keep that bottom of that bed as flat as possible. That'll give you the best bed that you can get. Okay, the trap stakes at 6 o'clock supporting the loose jaw. The dog's pointing towards the attractors. Okay, the next trick to making a set is to pack dirt along around the outside of the trap, but don't just throw it in there and pack it. Remember that you're the boss of your set. Just put your dirt in place. I'll say that, okay, maybe this dirt's a little bit too moist. A little bit too much moisture content. I could reach off here and grab some dry dirt out of my bucket and go with that right around the edge. But don't pack the dirt yet, just fill it in. Okay, now the trick. Hold the trap in place with one hand and pack the dirt with the other. So many guys are pushing and pushing and pushing around like this. What happens is they're moving the trap around in the bed. You're never going to get a firm bed that way. Be in charge. Hold that trap and then pack the dirt with the other hand. Then when you get it packed pretty good, you think you're in good shape, check for tip or wobble. Push on the loose jaw. That should be the strongest part of your bed. Check the strong jaw or the dog side. Check the lever sides for tip or wobble. If the trap moves any, pack more dirt around it. The straight sides of the bed and the trap jaws, the dirt in between is the jaws the dirt we're replacing. So we're trying to wedge dirt in between the flat jaw surface and the flat hole surface, or our trap bed wall. That's what we're trying to do, wedge dirt in here. That way we're not trying to really pack dirt tight and slow down the mechanism of the trap. We're kind of wedging in between. I think that's real important. Okay, once the trap is packed well, we can add our pan cover. Go with a wire screen type here. Lay it down over top. Maybe a pinch of dirt to hold it on so it doesn't blow away. Then we can go back to our sifter. Sift some more dirt over top here. Just pitch that dirt off the set when you're done. If it comes to a bunch of little balls or that, don't worry about that. The fox ain't going to be afraid of that. Then let's locate the pan of our trap. To me, this is critical, because if you don't know where the pan of your trap is, how's the fox or coyote going to know? You need to know exactly where the kill area of that trap is. I get students out here for instruction. I have them make me a set, and then I go do this whole system that I'm going to show you here on film, or I'm going to show you a lot of it anyway. And then I'll hand them a trap stick and I'll say, go snap your trap. And they'll go back and they'll push. They don't know exactly where the pan is. Some of them get it first time, most of them get it third time. The trap snaps. You want to get it the first time every time, because that means you know where your kill area is in relation to your attractors. That way your fox will find it faster. You want him to find it on the first try. Okay, when we locate our pan, I think it's important to take your hands in a shape like this. Remember, you're going to be sitting in my position, and you need to pack the dirt inside the jaws of the trap. We're using a pan cover. We get a rain or a natural settling over time. You don't want that pan up here and the dirt that's loose in around there to settle down. Also, you don't want a fox to step here and feel that real loose dirt that's just sifted in there. Let's put it in place. So I'm going to take and I'm going to put my weight on it. I'm putting weight and pushing down in there. I'm settling that dirt already. Now don't worry, you're working over the top of your trap. You're thinking, oh, I'm going to get snapped on my fingers. If you keep their hands wide open, if it would ever snap on you, you won't get your finger caught. You'll just let that trap up nice and easy. Okay, are we coming out level with the surrounding ground? If we're not, we should find out now. Put your sifter over top. Push on that sifter. If that trap snaps, your trap was too high and a fox would have to step up to work it. If the pan's way low underneath the dirt, or underneath the top of your sifter here, then your trap's too low. You're going to have to put too much dirt on it to get it to work right. Okay, what I've just shown you here is the most important part in making a set, having a well-bedded, level trap. If you can do this, you can make any type of set you want and catch a fox or coyote. The mechanics of this is the key to any set. Whether we dig a dirt hole here, put a rock here and put lure on it, put urine on these weeds, we can make a variety of sets. We could put a Coke can here and have a Coca-Cola set. We put lure on top of the Coke can. What I'm saying is this is the most important part. Practice this and get this right. Once you can master this, then you can make any type of set you want and catch fox or coyotes. Okay, we're to this point. It's time to add our attractors. I'm going to do several things in placing my attractors to give me the edge. First, I'm going to use a trap stake to make the holes. You dig a dirt hole with this trowel, you're going to run into a lot more time taken, extra dirt that you don't have nothing to do with. You may bump into your trap here. Also, you're making a big attractor that's easy for a fox or coyote to reach in and hook out your bait, or a coon to reach in there and grab your bait out. A stake to make the hole is a lot better, because when you stick it in, you ream it out. It's a cone-shaped hole. That lure can be on a lure holding object, and down at the pinnacle, it's wedged in there. They can't hook it out. That way they'll work your approach a lot more. Another thing is the distance away. The Fish and Wildlife Service did some scent post survey studies where they had cotton swabs in the middle of a circle, sifted pattern, and they were checking for fox tracks coming into lure. That was one thing they were checking, testing the best lures. Another thing, they were taking PVC pipe rings and spacing them back from this attractor, this cotton swab with lure on it. Every time a fox stepped in the circle, in the PVC pipe ring, or a coyote, there was a catch. They found that most of the catches occurred with the pipe rings 4 inches offset 3 for fox and 9 inches offset 4 for coyotes. What that means is, if this clod of dirt's our attractor, 4 inches, offset 3. This was our attractor, 4 inches, offset 3 would be position for fox. And if we were setting for coyotes, we'd want to move it up here and make it 9 inches, offset 4 for coyotes. So they're offsetting their trap to one side or the other, and they're staying back a certain distance from the attractor. Well, we need to think about that for a minute and try to reason why this is coming about. Well, the reason they were offsetting was not the body width of the animal. This distance for coyote is about body width from him standing and smelling the hole. And this is for about fox, the distance for fox. But this angle comes directly with the approach to the set. The animal approaching the set at about a 45-degree angle. Where that comes from is the lure dispersion. If you put lure on this clod and there's no wind, the lure disperses 360 degrees, the same distance all the way around. As we add this prevailing wind direction, less lure goes behind the set, more goes downwind, and the fox picks this up on the edge of this circle, not down straight in front of the set. The fox is not going to approach straight into this set. He's going to approach into it at an angle. And they found in the study for that to be somewhat varying vectors, but close to about a 45-degree angle. So that's why we're offsetting. They also found in the study that if you use 2 traps, you get a 30% increase in a catch. 2 traps meaning on the opposite 45. So if this is our lure, here's a trap for fox, we need another trap pan over here on the opposite 45, and we'd have a 30% increase in a catch. Well, to make a long story short, I weighed all these factors, and I also wanted to catch coyotes, same type of sets. Here's what I did, here's what I came up with. I took this same 4 offset 3 for fox, and I put a hole there. Using a trap stake, so it's a cone-shaped hole, it's an advantage. Okay, I said instead of having another trap pan here, I'd invert the principle because I could make 2 holes faster than I could set 2 traps. So it's just like if this was written on a paper, I flip this upside down and I put another hole over here. Okay, now I know I can hear you thinking out loud in there in your own living rooms. You're thinking, there ain't no way that's going to give us a 30% increase in a catch. Well, the way it's sitting here, it probably won't, but then I decided to add a jaw guard. I wanted to block that coyote off, so he had to come close to the trap, and I wanted to fence my foxes through a walking type approach. So I could take anything. I could take this clod, I could take anything around here. Let's just use this clod and put it back here in about this position. Now where is this position? This position from our main hole, this is our lure hole, is 9 offset 4. This is where a coyote trap pan should be. Well, if a coyote can't stand here and work the set, where's he going to stand? Not back here because he can't reach the set. He's going to stand up closer and we'll catch him. Also, this jaw guard helps to create the walk-through concept, to crowd your animals up a little bit closer to your traps. It also keeps you from having an animal step on the pan and the jaw of the trap at the same time, resulting in a toe catch. The reason I believe that this gives me a 30% increase in the catch is the fact that if the animal approaches the hole at the 45 degree that he should, he'll be standing here. And I feel 30% of the animals that stand here will walk through the set to work this hole, which is bait in this hole. And that will put him right on my kill, right on the trap pan. And conversely, if he comes in this way to check out this hole, I'm right on line. In the opposite way, of course, if he comes in this way, he should be standing right here. There's no trap, I missed him. I feel 30% will walk through the set to work this hole, and I'll be right on angles again. Again, coyotes can't work back here because of the jaw guard situation, so they crowd close, and I pick them up. This is called a walk-through set, and I want you to remember one thing, and that's the principles here should all stay the same. Only the presentation should change. In presentation, I mean, instead of a hole here, we could have a clump of grass with urine on it, or a little bit of urine with maybe some bait tucked underneath, or a cow chip, or a Coke can. Anything up here can be the attractors as long as we use this type of a spacing. We made a punch hole set here. We can make a dirt hole set, anything like that. Okay, I'm going to final cover the set, add the lure and bait, and we're out of here. To match some of this drier dirt, we can go with the dirt out of my dry dirt bucket. Just get rid of those clods. Don't forget where the pan of that trap is. Work up to it. Make sure everything's well packed around it. Gloves off for your lure. Like to use some type of lure holding object. I got a piece of corn cob here. You can use cotton balls. They work real well too. I'm just going to stick that in the hole. Put my lure in here. I'll use about 1/10 of an ounce of lure. Just about 1/10 of an ounce. Let that lure holder fall down in there. And as for putting the bait on, I'm going to use a stick. You can have a cotton ball too to dab it on with. I'll just use a stick here. Get a nice good glob of bait right down in the hole. Little drops on the top, that's okay too. Remember, it's going to wedge down there in that pinnacle. It's going to be pretty hard. Even a coon reaching in there for that stick's going to have a hard time tugging it out of there. He's going to work all the way across this approach and we're going to pick him up. Get our gloves back on for the urine. I use urine about 50% of my sets. If I was going to use urine here, the old standby is put it back here, spray it back here. But over the last 1.5, 2 years, I've come up with another way of putting the urine on that I found to be real effective, and that's back here on my jaw guard. Of course, a lot of times I'd use urine, or I use droppings as my jaw guard, and they kind of smell anyways. I'd usually freshen them up. What I found is if the wind ever changes and blows the wrong way, and a fox would come in from the back side, he almost inevitably, after digging these holes from the back, will step up in here to pee on that, and I'll catch him. So in other words, we're kind of backdooring him here. There's so many things you could do. You could take a stake, poke in the ground here, maybe add a little bit of call lure or something else, another type of lure here, other than what you've used in the other holes. Then you've almost made a triple punch hole set. But what I'm getting at is this set will work from either side. If the wind's blowing this way and they come through, they aren't going to work back here very long, and they're going to come up here and walk through your set. Remember, like I said before, if I can just get them to walk through this set, we're going to catch them. If you want to work with any type of fencing up near the trap, anytime you're working with predators, be very subtle, especially fox and coyote. If you're going to put any fencing here, make it real small and subtle. Small sticks, just barely sticking out of the dirt like this. That's pretty subtle. You don't want to do it like a bobcat and put big clods around your trap, this type of thing. You want to just be very subtle in fencing. Also, it's best, I've found, to match the dirt. If we're using dirt from this area right over this, remember we've got a trench in here coming through this rough field. We're doing that just because this is a rough field. If this was a nice smooth wheat field where I was doing this set, we wouldn't have to make a trench. We'd just make our standard set right here and be done with it. I'm trying to give you new ideas, let you to be innovative, let you think about things. We've come into the best location we could in this whole township to catch a fox. Just because it's a crappy field doesn't mean we want to leave and go to a better place. We want to set it anyways. We want to take disadvantages and turn them into advantages. We could reach into our bucket here, grab some of this dirt, sling it up a trail. That's going to help make this trail about the same color as our approach here. It's going to help to blend everything in and make for a better situation, a better chance of catching a fox. I hope I've tried to explain myself as good as possible. I hope you've enjoyed a bird's angle view, just like it would look if I was sitting here making the set. Exactly what way it comes out, the way it looks. I'm going to get up and move down here to where the other set will go in.